This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Yeah, sorry about yesterday, mate. Obviously we were going to record, and someone came up last minute, and obviously with just stuff we want to talk about, it was going to take a while, so I didn't want to rush it. So
Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense.
it was one of those that we had to delay it. So I've been down to Oxford today, so it's been a bit of a mad panic. What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been a mad one for me as well, to be fair, just non-stop appointments and meetings and calls. Yeah, it's just really busy at the minute with work. So, but I don't mind it. Rather it was busy than quiet because the days go a little bit faster, don't they? So I don't mind it.
Yeah. Just continual roadworks everywhere, which is an absolute pain in the arse.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, oh, shit, we're meant to be recording.
Oh, bloody hell.
Hang on a
Jesus
minute. Right,
Christ.
let me
Hang on.
just get this off. Right, you ready?
Yeah, ready.
I'll press record now.
Awesome.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Blues Focus podcast with me, your host, John Graham. Again, joined by Sam. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Very well. How about you?
I can't spike. Oh my God, what is going on?
I know.
Just when you start you change your name. So obviously, me and my two boys are on a group chat, and it's now changed to HMS Piss the League. You can probably understand how far I'm taking this right now. Um, so we're recording this on Thursday. So obviously, plenty of water under the bridge, and I don't think I was capable of doing this like any sooner. So let's rewind then, as we tend to do, and just maybe look at the side that he picked, because I know when we spoke last time, it was very much he's got to pick the same team. And even on Radio WM before they announced it, and as it was being announced, he said, we felt that he wouldn't make any changes. And they tried to big it up like there was going to be changes. Like, please don't make any changes. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, it was as you were. So I'm assuming you were happy with that.
Yeah, my only thing from last time was just about how fit they would be. But I think I even said on the last one that if it had been a game that had gone the whole way and had been competitive against Portsmouth, the legs might have been feeling it a little bit more. The fact that we sort of coasted home in the end,
Yeah.
I can imagine, and there's some of the changes that he made, which he probably wouldn't normally make, just enabled him to sort of preserve players' legs a little bit more than perhaps he thought he might need to. So, yeah, I was confident that he picked the same team. I thought it would be the right thing to do. Obviously, there was a question mark over Roberts again, but he's proved to be sort of resilient, I suppose is probably the word, that he seems to come back fighting quite quickly after being sort of getting knocks and whatnot. So, yeah, really pleased with the lineup.
Yeah, and it's I don't think it's just this season. I think it's full stop, where probably more so last year we did know broadly what his favourite 11 was be if everybody's fit.
Yeah.
But he did change it quite a bit even then. A majority of the times forced. This season, it's probably fair to say he hasn't really known what his best 11 is. And
No.
again, I'd put injuries down to it, and I'm going to come on to that, because some of the chirp after the game, it's just really short memories around, there's a part for me. Luck has played quite a big part in the I guess the team that he's fallen on, but you always want a lucky manager, and if we've got a lucky manager, that's overdue.
Yeah.
The whole, as we've talked about many times, the whole right back solution, or issue, I should say, but his solution to that problem has been a masterstroke. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. Hand was definitely forced, but Samuel's been fit now for 2 games,
Mm.
and he hasn't played him. So he's backed himself on that initial, maybe this will work, to this is working and it's worth pursuing. So you've got to give him credit for that. So yeah, it would have been interesting if it had been an away game, I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 back-to-back home games has definitely probably made that decision a little bit easier for him. So the one thing that, well, there was two things really. How bad were Portsmouth? Number one, we don't know that. Obviously, their position in the league gives you an indication, but we couldn't have thought they're going to be that poor, or were they that poor, or were we that good? So the benchmark then becomes Millwall, who haven't lost away from home all season.
Yeah,
they're a seasoned Championship side, and yeah, you'd think that this is going to be a much more of a test. And walk into the ground, it was absolutely hosing it down.
yeah,
I was like, yes, that probably plays into our hands because we are probably more of a passing team.
yeah.
But from a getting your challenges in, I personally playing in those conditions would have absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So I think I wasn't quite sure about how that would play a part. But as we say, and we've said on a number of occasions, we started really well, didn't we? Started on the front foot. So
Yep.
just talk us through probably those first 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, so one of the things that I was saying before we kicked off, looking at the conditions, and any game like this, is just keep the ball. If you want to sort of cause problems to the opposition keeper, is when you take shots, take them low, and let them bounce a little bit, let them skid across the surface, because they're not so much unpredictable, but it picks up a lot of pace, doesn't it? And it makes it very, very hard for a goalkeeper to stay composed. So that was one of the things I'd said right away, was if we get some early shots away, just try and keep them down, because that's going to cause the keeper a world of trouble. And I think it was about 40 seconds in when Doyle grabbed the ball back off them and ran forward and tried to bend one in the bottom corner. And I thought, right, that set the tempo, that set the intention straight away. And I thought, perfect, this is exactly what we needed. And yeah, it never seemed. So when we played Portsmouth, they had about a 20-minute spell, didn't they, where they had a lot of the ball. They didn't do much with it, but they had a lot of the ball. They kept us sort of pegged back for a while. And I expected it to be a little bit like that with Millwall, knowing that they'd have more quality in the way they were playing this season.
Yeah.
I don't think they even had a 10-minute spell. I think we were just from literally kick-off, we just pegged them back time after time. I think they had the one chance, and it was a half chance because it was sort of a volley from the edge of the area, and the guy hit it well, and Beadle saved it well. Other than that, I mean, Beadle probably kept his gloves pretty clean, I think, that night. So, yeah, I was really pleased with how we kicked off. The first 20, 25 minutes, obviously going 1-0 up, I thought, perfect. Obviously, we weren't creating quite as many chances against Millwall as we were Portsmouth. But what I liked was just that we were clinical with them, and they meant something when we got there. And then again, same old thing with Blues, and this is probably going to be a culture thing for years to come, unless we prove that we're better than that now. But you're always just thinking, 1-0, come on, like keep taking these chances and try and bury the second one and kill them a little bit. And we don't often do that. So then when Gray really calmly slotted that one away before half time, just before as well, I thought, I tell you what, this is something's clicked here. Like in the last two games, something has clicked, and we've become this sort of ruthless animal that I felt as though we could be, but we just weren't quite getting there. So really pleased to just see them just going for it. And the thing that I've noticed is the most different recently, and I don't know how many games it's been, but it's certainly the last two games. Even when the ball goes out of play, they're throwing it in straight away. They're not even waiting for people to turn and face. They're seeing someone and going, right, you can have it this time then, right, up the line. I mean, we've seen it happen a couple of times already. We've scored goals from what comes after that. And there just seems to be this urgency which has appeared now. And I don't know if it's that they're growing in confidence, if they've just started to believe in what they're capable of doing a little bit more, or if the team is just becoming a little bit more settled and they know what to expect from each other, which when you bring in a lot of new players, that's going to take time, isn't it? So I think maybe the penny is starting to drop a little bit with people, and they're starting to, build those relationships with one another. It's really, really good to watch.
Yeah, I'd probably go back to, I think the Preston game now for me was such a massive, massive game, not just the win, but the performance. And I'll tell you the reason why. And it's definitely, I think it was probably a really good example of the performance against Millwall. So if you look at Millwall, what are they? Season Championship side. The manager's been around the block a few times. They're very much combative as a team, as a unit. They always look to get the ball into the channel early and whip crosses in, a bit like Preston did against us when we played away. But now we've got Newman in the side, thank God, with Clara alongside him. And we have a fit Doyle. And what I mean by that, you're effectively getting 3 players for the price of one there. Now he's fit because he can sit back and play the quarterback role as and when he needs to. He can play that real central role and let Pate go forward, or he can be that effectively 10. And over the course of the game, he did all of those things because his engine is there. We know Pate's engine is insane anyway, and they're really like on it. So don't give the opposition 2 seconds. Stano leads from the front. And in this league, if you're a side that can get bullied, sides like Preston, Millwall will bully you. Look where they are in the league. Now, they ain't there because they're playing 1970 Brazil football. They're playing there because if you're not on it and you don't earn the right to be in that game, they will punish you.
Yeah.
And in the first 10 or 15 minutes, we were all over them. Like, not necessarily, we play some good football and, that's obvious to say. But if you've only got one way of playing, and in my opinion, they have, and it was Cochrane's best game by an absolute mile defensively. There was a couple of times when that ball went in the channel, absolutely no change whatsoever. Same with Pate. With Iwata, he's an absolute revelation. So if you're in the first 10 minutes, you're being confronted by a really good team playing football. And when you've got the ball, what normally works for you isn't working. Heads start to go down. It's like, you've always got to take a bully on. You've got to stand up against them. Yeah. And now we've got that in our arsenal alongside the way we're playing football. That's why you're winning games 4-0. It is as simple as that. And you're listening to a couple of interviews the manager's done. He's been at pains to really highlight Pake as that player that, a few weeks ago, people were like criticising him. And we were. The reason being is the manager was telling him how to play in that system. Whereas now he's got a bit more of a license. And guess what? He's more effective. He's the player that we signed, in those first few games that he played. But like, Christ, he's a dynamo.
Yeah.
So we've now got the Pate back that we had. And it isn't because he was playing shit. It was because he was playing in a boring holding 2, stick in your shape and crab football. And I'm pleased to say, that has completely gone.
Yeah.
And I think as far as the second goal is concerned, there was a guy sat in front of me and he was just on Damari's case all half. And okay, is he been as effective as Roberts? He hasn't. But has he got credit in the bank? Yes. Is he going to kick on? I believe he will. That's an unbelievable finish. But, that build-up play was like... And the key, for me, the key element to all of it is the impact that Ducksch is having on this side. Yeah. And because what he brings is calm and patience. Yeah. And even though that second goal was, one-touch football, moving off the ball, 3 weeks ago, Stano would have taken the shot. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But I think with Ducksch, because he looks to play intricate passes, I know that it's rubbing off on Stano. It 100% is.
Yeah.
And that ball to Damari was a really good vision, the right decision. And Demi's finish was different class. He made it look easy. And that's why we have to play him, because he's got that. Yeah. So that first half for me, the fact that we took on the bully, they didn't get any change out of us. We played some unbelievable stuff. So then, you're like, as you made the point, you get the second goal, you're like, great, a bit of breathing space. And then after the game, it was interesting that Davies said at halftime, he said, look, we need to go and get a third, which is really good to hear because, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't feel like we've ever done that before. We just sit. And everything is led by the manager, in my view. And I think he was telling them to do that. So if he's just had maybe he's looked at the game and thought, we're absolutely taking the piss here. Go and get a third. I don't know. So as we go into the second half, what your thoughts around, did you think we'd go and try and kill it off or?
Yeah, you're hoping so. It's probably a different story I say it would be a different story. This is what happened against Portsmouth. You go in at half-time 1-0. and they come out straight away firing. Again, it's probably a little bit out of character to what we've seen under Davis for the last 18 months. And that's the way I described Davis last season, was that I think he came in, his remit was to get the club promoted and at the very minimum top two, but we really expect you to win the title. All the records that come with it are the soft finishings, aren't they? They're, the nice little bonuses. But the remit for Davis was get us back into the Championship and do it comfortably. I think because he's come from a very data-driven background, I think he just looked at it and went, right, this is a system that's going to be really hard for everybody else to defeat. So that's going to stand us in the best possible stead of getting promoted and going up automatically and going up comfortably. So I think he just decided that was the way we were going to play and stuck with it. He started this season doing the same thing. What I think he quickly realised was that isn't always going to be enough, is it? Because the teams that you're coming up against now are going to find answers and they are going to get past you. And once they do, they will happily then be the team to sit back and you haven't got an answer. What I like about what's happened recently is that I think it is a learning curve for him. I think he's just decided to try. I think I mentioned it in the last pod. He's tried a few different methods of how he can sort of combat each sort of different type of fixture, hard aggressive teams that are going to play football. And he's tried to sort of see what works. And like you said, it might have been a little bit of fortune in terms of people missing out because of injury or suspensions or whatever, but he stumbled into this team with a degree of logic, obviously, but he's fallen into this team and it's just taken off. It's just completely taken off. And one of the things that I said before, I think it was maybe when we first started doing these again, and I'm pretty sure that was just after the Sheffield Wednesday game, wasn't it? The first one back. And I was looking at the midfielders and I was really frustrated about the fact that the two in the midfield, like you've already touched on, would just get the ball and just give it to the easiest option. I was crying out for just letting sort of the attacking four be the attacking four. That's evolved. It's become an attacking six now because Doyle and Paik are just equally involved. And you then look at those six players that have started the last two games. The one thing that they all possess is just technical ability. Like every single one of them is a footballer out and out. We've got a lot of footballers in our team now, but those six, you would trust them with the ball in the tightest of situations, I think. And what he's done differently is he's just let them do it. And that is just such a great feeling because you're just watching them. They're not stuck to a certain position. They're able to interchange. They're doing one-touch passes. They're little balls around the corner. I mean, Duck played that, I think, for Roberts for the first goal. He played that brilliant, which we've seen him do a handful of times already. That little first-time ball round the corner into Roberts, who's got the pace to get there. He's got absolutely about half an hour's worth of time on his hands to pick a spot, and he finds Paik and he hits the shot, hits it nice and low, and there we go, back of the net. And I just think it was the theme of the day. It's been the theme of the last 2 days. It's just as soon as we get the ball, it's not even six players going forward, it's seven because Iwata's one of the highest players up the pitch, isn't he? And that's what teams seem to be really struggling with as well, is to who do they put on him, because we've still got all of those attacking players and now him as well. So like I say, whether it's luck, whether it's judgment, it's probably a bit of both. He stumbled into this lineup and this way of playing, and it's just blowing teams away. I mean, you think of Millwall over the years and all the different managers they've had, you probably would have to look quite far back to find the last time they had four put past them, because they're just steely and they're just tough, aren't they? And they've got that absolute giant at the back who scores them a handful of goals every week, who was the one I was sort of concerned about, and he just got pulled out of the game. He was nowhere to be seen.
What was interesting, we purposely didn't put the ball in the area where it made him easy to defend.
Exactly.
It was obvious that was a plan. Because, again, previous games, even against Portsmouth, different opposition, probably getting crosses in a bit earlier or maybe going a bit more central with the long ball. Everything that Beadle was hitting, if he was going long, tended to be to Damari more than anything else.
Yeah.
And, again, just little, I said last pod, just common sense for a manager.
Yeah.
And, that isn't normal. No. Managers can be stubborn, stupid, what arrogant, all those things. But Davis is just deploying so much common sense in his selections and the way that we're playing and the opposition we're playing against, not to necessarily be transfixed on what they can do. But if you've got a 6'6" centre half that just eats it in the air, don't put it anywhere near him.
Yeah.
And we did that for the entirety of the game. I just want to go back 2 points. So Iwata, what is different with him? He's still not playing right back, so we just got. I'm just going to have to let that go as far as Davis and right backs are
Free roll.
concerned. But whatever. But he's playing more as an inverted fullback. Whereas if you watch Laird and to a lesser degree Samuel, because he didn't play that much, but if you look at Laird, when he went forward, he was touchline. He very, very rarely would come inside and effectively be another midfielder, another central midfielder. And that's why we're getting overloads. And that, because, as you said, they just don't know. We're coming from everywhere. And he is really advanced. We probably only got caught once where there was that ocean of space down the one flank, but that was due to turnover of the ball and everything else. And personally, I've just got to suck it up, because with the Water playing the way that he is, the benefits of what he's doing so far are massively outweighing what the negatives could be. So I think point number one, really, really like the way that he's inverting and supporting. That's fabulous. But when everyone's, everybody's an aftertime. It's, why didn't we play this since the start of the season? We haven't got another player like Ducksch. We haven't. No. Dykes can't do what he does. 100% he cannot. That guy is an international footballer. And now I've seen him in the flesh a couple of times. He is 3, 4, 5 passes ahead of a lot of other people. Yeah. He did a step over in the first half for Iwata. And before he did the step over, Iwata's coming steaming through, like on a diag through the middle of the park. And as he goes to Duck's feet, Iwata thinks he's going to hold it up. So he stops his run. And what Ducksch does is a fabulous sort of step over, sells the defender the other way. And because Iwata's checked his run, it looks, and Iwata looks at him and say, yeah. So they're still learning to play with each other. So we haven't got another Ducksch. So he hasn't been fit. So we can't play like that. Roberts is now becoming the winger that we've needed forever. We haven't got another one of him that is as, I think, decision-making's fabulous. He's a constant threat. He dribbles the ball a little bit like Grealish. So he's not overly quick, but if you go to challenge as a defender, he's got a trick to get around you.
Yeah.
And the final one is, as we've said many, many times, Doyle has taken time to fit into this role. Leonard's a really good player, but now I've seen Doyle in this role. He is streets ahead of Leonard. He is, and I'm more than happy to say that. So you look at those 3 players, for whatever reason, we haven't had them all season. So you can't play like the way we play without those 3 players, because we haven't the support of Dykes, Anderson, and Leonard aren't on that way. They're not on that level. As much as, they're all good players, but this, and I'm going to say it because why not? This side in the last 2 games is a top 6 side. Absolutely no doubt about it. Now, can we keep them fit from now until the end of the season? Of course we can't. Can they play every single game? No, they can't. But the way that it panned out on Tuesday night, giving Ducksch an hour, getting him off, giving Roberts time, get him off. So all of the players that are absolutely critical to this system, if we're getting ahead of the game, get them gone, wrap them up in cotton wool, and then, churn them out against Boro on Saturday. So it is just, and the confidence and that, and again, if anybody's played football, and not to any level, if you're not the superstar, but you've got a couple of players that when they're playing the team, it's like, oh, thank God they're playing. And I think you've got that with Roberts and Ducksch and Doyle. It's making Stano, it's giving him a completely, not that he's been a fab player all season, but he's confident. They love him playing, and to watch it is just, it's unreal. It is unreal, and the quality of football. But as we talk about quality, talk me through the 3rd goal.
I mean, what I was just going to say briefly as well there, I think the refreshing thing that I've found is just that we've, for a long time, and I discount last season because that was just totally different, wasn't it? But in the Championship, it's been such a long time since we have just decided to play the way that we're going to play and let the opposition figure out how to deal with us. We've so often, and even maybe at the start of this season, we were a little bit guilty of going, or, this team is going to be more physical, so we need to play Lyndon Dykes, because we need somebody else that's going to be able to help us in both boxes. Instead, what we've done now is we've gone, actually, if we just do it this way and we set up like this, we've got a much better chance of winning games because we are going to be better at playing football than the opposition. So I know, let's try that and see how successful that is. And lo and behold, we're finding goals. And we're not, for all this attacking threat that we talk about, we can't forget that the defence are untroubled, not because they're not having players come at them. They're just dealing with it 30 seconds, 2 seconds quicker than the opposition is able to think of what they're doing. And it's just the calmness is there. I mean, I love what I've seen of Newman so far. He was a little bit, albeit I know he got the winner, he was a little bit shaky in that Preston game. You could see a couple of instances where he came out with the ball and he gave it away, or he forgot to pass it, or it was a little bit shaky. But that's natural when you've been sitting on the sidelines for half a dozen games. What you could see with him, I think, the other day was not that it was a standout performance and that he was an absolute rock or anything like that, but just everything he did was right. Do you know what I mean? Like he made all the right decisions. He never put himself in any trouble. There were a couple of instances where, and to be fair, Millwall did press quite well, but we managed to get round it every time. And there were a couple of instances where the ball came to Newman. He had an option of Iwata or Clara, and he just thought, you know what? The best option is actually just on this occasion to get rid of it because they've closed us down. So let's push them back. And I'm all for that. So like I said, the defense is just, again, it's consistency, isn't it? It's learning how your teammates are going to work. A different goalkeeper came in half a dozen games ago as well. So that's new for them as well. So they're all starting to learn, like we've said a few times, they're all starting to learn how each other plays. So that defense is looking really, really good because they're just not looking like there's a mistake there. Now, look, there's a lot of games to go. They're going to make mistakes. There's going to be times when we look back and go, Clara should have done better. Newman should have done better. What was Iwata doing, or whoever else is playing right back? But for now, enjoy it. And you've just got to hope that this confidence can go through. I think I saw something on Twitter earlier as well about, or X, sorry, that it's been a long time since, or I don't actually think we've won a game under Davis before an international break. So you're just really sort of hoping that we can go into the Middlesbrough game now and go, right, let's just see if we can make it 3 for 3. And then that 2-week break will just come at a good time for us. But in terms of the third goal, I mean, again, I was just really, really impressed with how quickly we came out of the blocks again. We just went for the throat. And if you put the ball into areas enough times, something's going to happen. And a little bit lucky maybe that the ball has been headed clear and it's landed to a guy completely unmarked. And I'm not going to say for a minute that I expected Cochrane to do that. I know he's got a good left foot, but I never for a minute expected that he would hit it as cleanly as he did. My gut reaction when I first saw it live, because that's my side of the pitch, it looked as if the keeper had become like a ghost for a second. Like it appeared to just go straight through him. But when you watch it back and you have a chance to digest it and see just how well he hit it and the fact that it just moved away from the keeper slightly, fair play to him because it's an absolute belter. And we've been lucky to see a handful of decent goals so far this season, and that's right up there. And I was pleased that he got it as well because, I mean, we've criticised is a strong word, but we started to raise concerns about a lot of the goals that we were conceding coming from his side of the pitch. And that's just an observation. That's not us saying, and I think we even said it, that's not us saying Cochrane isn't good enough and that he won't be good enough. But a lot was starting to happen. That it was like we were being targeted a little bit down that side of the pitch. That's gone because all of a sudden now he's sort of learned a little bit more of that sort of savvy how to be a championship footballer, and he will, he'll get it up the line to Gray. He'll play it in field. He'll get rid of it as well if he needs to. He's half decent in the air, which we hadn't maybe seen as much of. He came up against that Cooper a handful of times from set pieces and just used his body well. He was never going to win the header, but he just used his body well, which was sensible. So I just think, like I say, you become a little bit battle hardened, don't you? Once you start playing more games, you get more used to the standard and what you're going to come up against. And the last couple of games, he's really, really stood out. Obviously, these goal contributions are a big part in that. But like you said as well, defensively, there's a reason we've kept 2 clean sheets in a row. And it's not all just going to be down to luck or 1 or 2 players. It's the whole defensive unit. So, yeah, great goal. Really pleased for him. I think he even said in his post-match he did about 15 celebrations. All a bit of a car crash when he's running towards the corner. But, you love it. And you can tell when a player scores that everyone is really pleased for him because they just go sprinting towards him, and he was one of those players. They all just swarmed him straight away. So yeah, really good to see.
Yeah, and I think just touching. I mean, I was sat in the up in the gods in the. I'm just going to call it the railway end because that's what it's called. And I was literally right behind it. It was just unreal, and it just from the quality of strike, it reminded me a bit of the Iwata goal against Newcastle in the cup last season. Just technique and connection. It was just fabulous. But just on the broader point of the defence. Now, I raised something a couple of weeks ago about Beadle, and I was like, I think he's got a mistake in him, and it could come at any time soon. He hasn't gone AWOL.
No,
has he? He hasn't gone AWOL. That first save was a good, solid save. You'd expect him to make it, but it was a good confidence booster for him. Yeah. And in the second half, he held what could have been quite a difficult shot.
Yeah.
I think his long ball is really, really good. He does a thing with a bit of a foot stutter when he's knocking it around the back, which I'm now saying that's just the way that he is. It scares the shit out of me at times, but I'm really chuffed for him. He's an integral part of what's happened over the last 4 games.
Yeah, definitely.
We've talked about Cochrane. I mean, Clara, he don't have a bad game.
No,
I said to my boys, has he ever had a bad game? Like a real stinker in all the time he's played.
It's why no one talks about him, though, isn't it? Because it's just become the standard.
But it would be remiss of us not to talk about it because we've had so many shit centre halves that I'm gonna mention him because it probably wouldn't be the same if I didn't. But if you look at Harley Dean, he'd play brilliantly for 3 games and then be absolutely woeful for the next 7.
Yeah,
with Clara, you've got minimum 7 out of 10, majority of the time 8 out of 10, and sometimes more than that. And that will rub off on Newman. And I agree with you, Sam. I've always liked him. I think sometimes he's 6'2", heads 5'4", which is a bit of a worry. He doesn't time it that well. But I think that's just getting used to the pace, getting used to the championship, all that stuff. But he's noticeably coming up levels and thank God. And, we've talked about Iwata, and for me, I can't see a world where he changes anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and even to the point now where I don't want a cup run. I don't. There's so many games to play in the league, and now we've hit on something. And Millwall are not a bad team. They're not. So you can forget the Portsmouth. They're shit. We've now played somebody else that are half decent, and we've battered that. I agree with you. It was more of a complete performance against Millwall than it was against Portsmouth.
Yeah.
So that's just crackers. So he made the changes, and again, really important that your subs come on and contribute. And I know we have a bit of an Anderson love fest most pods, but so he came on and instrumental in the 4th goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we've seen from him now is if you can keep him fit for long enough, he is a contributor, isn't he? Sometimes he's going to go missing, but other times he's going to be right in the forefront of it. And absolutely. I mean, you don't always become accustomed to him appearing in that position of the pitch, do you? Sort of being so central. I know he did for that game that we sort of lauded him for as the number 10 that we knew we'd never see again. But apart from that, you don't see him coming inside all that often. And this is what I mean. I keep talking about this sort of letting the attacking players attack. They've all just seemed to have this extra freedom that they didn't have before. That seems to be a very recent thing. And that move exactly sort of epitomizes that. Anderson is in the center of just at the edge of the box with the ball. Presence of mind to just put one into Stansfield. And I mean, look, there was an element of luck, but actually when you watch, I haven't sort of watched it in real slow motion, but you could see that Stansfield was trying to get there. Yeah. It's not that he's sort of tried to pass it to somebody and it's bounced through and it's landed at his feet. He sort of shifted his feet around a little bit to try and beat his man. It was just the way that it it took all the pace out of it and it allowed him to have time to slot it. And that was the only little bit of luck that you could say. But everything else was sort of purpose built. And yeah, absolutely. You can talk about all the subs. There isn't a sub that's come on recently that's had a bad game. And I know why you're laughing. I know very much why you're laughing. And I talked about it in the last pod about how the whole stadium, and I think I even used the phrase, the blades of grass on the pitch wanted somebody to score. I think every single Blues fan probably held their breath for 3 seconds when he broke past his man, and they thought, "Oh, this is it. He's finally done it."
So before you could see, James, my son, when Kyogo was clean through and the defenders on the arse, he was like, "This is it," and I'm like, "Don't say that. Don't say that." But
it just looked like it was meant to be, didn't it?
It did, and the frustrating thing is the kid's got so much quality, but he obviously bereft of no confidence.
Yeah,
he had so much time. He could have taken it round the keeper. He could have done what he wanted with it. But I know he wanted to get his shot off, and again, the follow up was a gilt-edged chance.
I know,
and you're like,
the thing is, what I've noticed with him as well. So, I don't like it when people say that someone is a confidence player, but I do understand it, because when you get to this level of football or any sort of sport or competition, wherever you're in, when you're playing at the highest level of something, the margins are so small, aren't they? So just for somebody being confident and not confident is the difference between snatching a shot or just slotting it. So when we started the season against Ipswich, I don't know if you went to the game or not, but every time he broke through, it was like a default setting. He lobbed the keeper, didn't he? And it was the perfect lob. He had a disallowed goal that shouldn't have been disallowed. He was unlucky that his second lob hit the post. I know we scored it, but from a personal point of view, he was unlucky. You can tell the difference now that when he gets there, he misses his chance. And then for the rest of the game, now bear in mind, he came on at about 55 minutes. So he had a good sort of 40 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah.
His chance came early. And for the remainder of the game, he was in his own head. He couldn't get away from the fact that he'd missed that chance. Even walking around the pitch at the end when everyone's singing and cheering his name, it's still very much that chance is in his mind, isn't it? And that's something that he needs to... And I know it's easier said than done, but that's something that he needs to try and get rid of, because playing the way we are now, and this is the reason, I don't know if it was to do with saving the duck or trying to give Kyogo the best possible chance of scoring. I'm inclined to think it was probably that. I think at 3-0, the game is all but wrapped up. I reckon Davis has kind of gone, right, come on, Kyogo, now's your time.
Yeah, I think there's arguments for both, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Davis understands the impact that Ducksch is having on that team.
Yeah.
And because he hasn't played much football. And I was saying, get Stano off as well. It's 3 and you get them all off. All the people that we are absolutely reliant on, when you're 3 and 4 up, just get them all off. If as many of those, our real stellar players that influence games, get them gone. So I was delighted and the thing with Ducksch, and I made the comment last time, he is like Dugarry. He's exactly the same. Yeah. And he does things that don't come off, and I love that. And Doyle does exactly the same. And there's people around me that are getting frustrated. I'm like, no, keep doing that, because those pits of genius, you only need one of them to come off, and you've got an absolute, you've got a big chance you're through. Yep. Whereas when you do the side-to-side predictable stuff, it's so easy to defend. Whereas things off the cuff aren't. And Roberts is the same. So the more that we do, and that's why we're not getting as much possession, because we're giving possession away, because we're trying to do things differently.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% here for me. I've been wanting that just wanting to see a bit more bravery and a bit more just dynamic football for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now we've got it. Never hear me crit. Even if Doyle gives it away in the middle of the park and a team goes and scores, so what? Whatever. Because if we keep doing what we're doing at the moment, we'll win more games than we lose. That is without a doubt. Mm-hmm. So, and Kyogo, I'm just really pleased that the fans have taken him. To sort of put their arm around him to a degree, and it'd probably be different if that was 0-0 and he missed the chance. But I'm still convinced it'll happen. I am, and the good thing, and we've said it before, those players, the fringe players, the Andersons, the Kyogos, the Leonards, they're all going to get game time.
Yeah.
They will, because if we're, and again, it doesn't take a genius to work out, this is the 11.
Yeah.
Forget everything else. There isn't anybody else in that squad that I would even contemplate bringing in right now.
No.
It's done. It's in.
Yeah.
But nature of the beast is you can't. I mean, it's weird timing, I suppose. Obviously, with the international break, because, and we'll talk about the Boro game in a minute. But yes, protect them for this, for half an hour or 20 minutes or whatever it is, because obviously you've got something down the line. But yeah, it's good to see that the bench players, the finishers, are still going to bring something to the party. And again, there's lots of firsts here. I don't really remember that. I think Robinson was unbelievably lucky to get a place on the bench. I just don't. I think we've got to just bin that off. And I know you're certainly not a fan. I just don't. If Cashin's there, he can play left back and he can play centre half.
Yeah.
And whilst he might not have been brilliant for us so far, he hasn't given away 2 games, which basically Robinson has.
Yeah.
So I don't really get that. But look,
I think
let's not get negative about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to avoid going into that topic because I've covered it so many times. But in terms of Robinson, and I understand at the point that we were at when he came in, I can understand why they did it, because we were sort of scrambling around, weren't we, at this point, trying to sort of figure out how to play in the Championship. Davis still had absolutely no clue of his sort of standout 11. We were chopping and changing. The strikers were different each week. The wingers were different each week. The centre mids were probably the only ones that remained the same. And Robinson came in against Swansea, and he was really good. He was really he did everything he needed to do. He was strong. He was composed. And it was the bit of experience at that time that I think we needed to at least just get that home win, to get that 3 points against Swansea. And it came at the right time. I think what's happened, and we've talked about it a lot, and Robinson is probably going to be a casualty of this, as will some other players that we probably haven't yet thought of. But he is just going to become a casualty of the fact that we have suddenly shifted up a gear. We are now suddenly a footballing team who can hurt teams going forward, and we just need to be sort of sensible at the back with a little bit of pace, and that sort of essentially rules him out now, because we don't need, or we haven't needed anyway in the past few games, a head-it kick-it defender. We've actually sort of been able to focus more on going forward, and he's not going to give you any more than what the others give you, is he now? So until we get to a point, which I'm sure, look, as I said before, it's a long season. We're not that far into it. I think we're just over a quarter of the way in. There is inevitably going to be a time where he comes back in again with injuries, suspensions, quantity of games, all the rest of it. He's going to get back in eventually, and there's going to be spells when we start losing games again. We're not going to go like we did last season and just win and draw all the way to the end, because the teams that we're playing against are so much better. So there might come a point where our form drops and we need somebody with a sensible head, such a poor choice of words, with an experienced head that can come in and then go, okay, yeah, I remember, when this happened to me at this team, this is how we need to combat it. Let's just be dirty and rough, and let's just make sure we sort of hold a good fort. Right now, though, he's a million miles off it. And as I say, I think that's testament to the rest of the team more so than detriment to him. He hasn't helped himself with his antics, but there's a place for him. I just don't see it happening anytime soon, all being well.
Yeah, and to just probably finish on that point, you're right, he will come back in because it's a long old season and all the other various cliches, but you'd like to think he has learnt now, because he hasn't got another chance. He can't have. I mean, 2 sending offs in 4 or 5 games is bad enough. But if he is going to spend an extended period on the bench, unless there are injuries, he'll probably get some game time in December, because he's just mental, isn't it, around Christmas? Mm-hmm. That you hope that he has learned. And he's got a lot to prove. Yeah. And there's a good player in there. You wouldn't have had the career that he's had and not be a good player.
No.
But unfortunately, his head's gone, and he needs to get a bit of a grip. So let's move on to Boro on Saturday. I was going to say a bit of a different proposition, but is it?
Wow.
It's Rob Edwards. We know
Or
it.
is it?
Well, and exactly. So I'll let you come in on that in a second. But if you look at the way Luton played, if you look at the way where Middlesbrough are now, this is pretty much a better Millwall in my view. It's going to be direct. It's going to be press. It's going to be balls into the box, all that stuff. And we've dealt with it before. So maybe shed a bit of light on the Rob Edwards and
I mean, the poison chalice of Wolverhampton Wanderers strikes again, doesn't it? I mean, I can understand from, a manager like Rob Edwards who had a brief stint in the Premier League with Luton, and you could argue he was maybe unfortunate to lose his job there in the end, because it was always an uphill battle there. But he's had a taste of Premier League football, hasn't he? So it's going to be hard for him. I think, did he play for Wolves as well? I think
100 games he's played for Wolves.
It's going to be hard for him to say no to that, given the situation in the Championship is such a tough league. I think if he joins Wolves now and still gets relegated, he keeps his job, doesn't he? Because I don't think anybody is expecting them to stay up now.
Absolutely.
So he's in a luxurious position, if you want to call it anything, where he can't really lose from this.
Yeah.
That being said, I can understand why it's probably a Championship bias, isn't it? And especially a Middlesbrough bias, that they would obviously say, why would you want to leave and get relegated when you've got a chance of getting up? The problem is there's 14, 15 teams that have a chance of going up. There's probably 5 or 6 that have a chance of going down. So, the chances of him actually staying at Middlesbrough and getting promoted arguably is still harder than maybe giving Wolves a fighting chance of staying up.
Yeah.
So I still think it's going to be a tough one for him to turn down. Whether he does or doesn't go, though, is still going to make Saturday a really interesting one, because I'm not a fan of all these Love Islands and all of that, but you hear the phrase of people's having their head turned, don't you? And I can't help but think
he's been in Casa Amor. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a Casa Amor in Middlesbrough. I've been there. Definitely not.
Casa less, not a more. But I just can imagine it's going to be a difficult one for him. And say he decides to stay, he'll turn up and he'll be very professional and he'll do his job as he has been. Even with all of that in mind, I still fancy us there. I mean, we've gone to Middlesbrough away in the past when we've been at rock bottom and they've been doing a lot better, and we've still managed to get some points from them. Yeah. I just think at the minute, with the last 2 games, 8 unreturned goals, 2 home games admittedly, but 2 sort of different opposition, but we've still done exactly the same thing. My hope is very much what I said last time. My hope is that we just do the exact same again. I want him to pick the same team as long as he can, and just do literally just exactly where you left off, lads, because that's exactly what we did on Tuesday. We went out there and we just literally carried on as if it was part of the same game from Saturday. So just got to do the same thing. Obviously, that's much easier said than done, and the Middlesbrough team does have, I want to say, almost like Championship veterans in that team. They've got a handful of names, like a Luke Ayling, for example, who got their equaliser the other day, that are Championship savvy, and they will know how to negotiate different types of fixtures. But if you've got, like we've had and we've talked about, 6 or 7 attacking players just running at you, good luck stopping them. And I just think, just keep doing it. Keep going exactly the same way. They've drawn a lot of games, and their last few games, I don't think they've picked up many points.
No, I mean,
it could be a good time to play them on both sides of the coin.
I agree, and I think with Edwards, I've got you absolutely right. So let's look at it. Wolves are in the Prem. He's played for Wolves. Apparently, he's got a house in the area. They are massively adrift at the moment, but there's a lot of football to be played.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody knows. They made a lot of signings, and jury's out on a lot of them. So whether he can get a tune out of that, who knows? But fundamentally, if he's going there, they're going to be saying to him, if you can keep us up, you're probably going to get £3 million for the privilege of doing that. There'll be a massive bonus for him to keep him up, which isn't really going to make any difference, I don't think. He'll either be able to get a tune out of them or not. But more importantly, he's going there with the fans. He's got no pressure from anyone, because the fans all think they're down.
Yeah.
So, if they go down no shit Sherlock. That's what everyone's saying they're going to do. And if they do go down, then he's got such a good period of time to understand who he can keep, contracts depending and everything else, and really then understand that he's probably going to hit the ground running next season, which he didn't have with Luton. If you think last season with Luton, it's like they pretty much got towards the last probably 5 games of the season when they were in the Prem, and they could have stayed up, but obviously they didn't. So then you've got the massive hangover of relegated, probably feel a bit hard done by. Some of the players thinking, shit, really likes it in the Prem, my salary's gone. Whatever it is, it's a completely different scenario. So his point of reference ain't Luton. It's like, actually, if I do go down with Wolves, do I think I could get them to where Boro are at the moment next season? Yeah, probably could.
Yeah.
So for him, I just, if Wolves want him, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't take the job. No. Because again, you're right. Just because Boro are, they're second at the moment or third or whatever they are, that's now.
Yeah.
And in the last 4 games, they equalised away to Leicester. That we know that's a tough game. But Leicester are, they're not by any stretch world beaters. The game before that, lost 3-0 to Watford. The game before that, they drew to Boro at home. And the game before that, they beat Sheffield Wednesday 1-0.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that really isn't, they've conceded in 3 out of the last 4 games.
Yeah.
So, and I do, whenever a manager their name gets linked with a job, and it's not just a throwaway, there's a genuine thing there, and that manager, his head could be turned, then all of a sudden that gets through to the players. 100% it does. And I'm not listening to anybody say that isn't. That's human nature.
Yeah.
And they'll be thinking, Christ, what more can we do this season? And he's still going to go. We've got something really good going here.
Yeah.
So I think it's the perfect time to play him.
Yeah.
I have always said, when I was managing, if you've got a starting 11, it doesn't matter whether you're playing home or away. Just believe in what you're doing. Yeah. If he sticks to that side, it's a really, really interesting test for him. Because if everybody's fit and he don't play that same side, I don't get it. I don't, because we've been so dominant.
And the problem is you open yourself up to unnecessary criticism then as well, don't you? So if you make any changes from a winning team and it doesn't work out for you, the first thing everybody's going to do is say, why did he change this? If he decided to go, I'd rather be a little bit more solid in the middle and have an out-and-out right back or whatever we may think, but he could put a Sai Samuel right back and Iwata in the middle, and that might make perfect sense to him. But then if Samuel makes a mistake and we lose 1-0, or Iwata gives the ball away in the middle of the pitch and we concede at the end and we lose 1-0 or we draw a game, again, straight away everyone's going to go, why wasn't Iwata at right back? Or do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not, things will happen and there'll be reasons, he'll have almost a week of training. So, things can happen. Of course they can, but I just think 4-0, you can't possibly, you've got to be a really, really brave man to make a change to that team.
I think the only change that I can sort of see and potentially understand, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change it. The only one I could potentially see is Damari out for Anderson. That's the only thing I can see. Yeah. Because he can't bring Iwata into midfield and bring Samuel in, because who's he going to drop from midfield? He ain't going to drop Paik. He ain't going to drop. He can't drop Doyle. I mean, you can't drop Roberts. He can't drop Stano. He ain't going to drop Duck. So it's like, the man himself
holding it firm because he is undroppable.
He is. It's like, I don't know. This is just talking points, and the most obvious thing is that he doesn't change it, and I'd really hope he doesn't, because they've got, as you say, a few days recuperation. The players that are still trying to find a bit of minutes in the legs, they've had a bit of a rest. They can go again. I've got us beating them.
Yeah,
I have got us beating them for lots and lots of reasons, not just the fact that we've hit on something and confidence and everything else. Their heads are going to be up their arse with the manager.
Yeah.
And if, and it is a big if, and we definitely have been here before an international break, because I'm always like, oh God, if we win this game, then we've got a break, and we're here and we're there, and and I'm doing it now. But if we did get 3 points, we ain't going to be a million miles away from top 6.
No.
And then if we're in the top 6 when we go into this international break, then, and we've got the team that literally everybody in that crowd even now, can name the team. Everybody can name the team. And we haven't been there for fucking forever.
Yeah.
Forever we haven't been there.
No.
So whilst, it would have been a brave man even a month ago to either A, predict the team, or B, say, we're definitely going to win this game. Because there was no point of reference to make those arguments. But now, I've been, and again, it's sort of, my head's gone a bit, and it still has gone, because I just can't believe what I've been watching. But it's the same, and I go back when we played Rangers in that pre-season friendly. I haven't seen anything like that for donkey's years, and this is now mirroring that.
Yeah,
it is, and I with that those last 2 performances, I've got us as good, if not better, than anyone in the league. But they're only 2 games.
Yeah.
If we play that to the end of the season, we'll win the league. But it ain't going to be like that. So, and I don't want to be, because I'm a pragmatic Blues fan. I don't get ahead of myself, but I can only go by what I see. And the last 2 games have been nothing short of absolutely exceptional. And for once, I don't really give a shit what side Boro put out. If we put out that 11, fucking good luck.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. That's what I said earlier as well. So if you, even at the start of this season, say if we'd have played Millwall game 2 or 3, there is a world where he would have played a Lyndon Dykes. He would have gone with the more physical players, isn't it? But like I said, that seems to have shifted now. So I'm exactly with you. That doesn't matter who you're coming up against now. Pick the team that is proving to be the most fruitful and just go with that until it stops being that team. And then when it stops being that team, then you've got to try and make the odd change or 2 until you find the next team. Because, we know with football, and especially at this level, that we aren't going to go on a run like this for too much longer, because it's only a matter of times before the other teams realise what it is that we're doing, and they find a way, because they're good enough to, of stopping it. So you have to just make the most of it whilst you've got it. And I think we're still in that phase, and I think we can still, a couple of games at least, sort of make the best of it. So yeah, absolutely, just keep going. That's all they can do.
I just think that because it's so, the players that are influencing the game are, Doyle played in the Prem. The striker, the Ducksch, has played for Germany. Roberts has been a class act for donkey's years. Damari Gray's played in the Prem and gone for big money. He's won the Premier League. Stano is one of the best upcoming players certainly in the Championship. We've got all those players, so good luck dealing with all of them. Because that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's really my point. And I am getting, like, as I say, Ed's gone. Good luck coping with it. I don't know what teams. You're man-to-man Doyle. That's the first thing I'd be doing. I'd just man-to-man him, because he's running the show. But then you take a player out of their system, and all of a sudden, that's what you want teams to do. Try and adapt to what you're doing, and then you can adapt because you've got good enough players to do it. So, look, if we can be top 6 by the time the international break happens, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. But so let's get on to the predictions then, and then I can go in a corner for a minute, because I just I don't know what's going on.
Now and just stand outside.
I'm literally shaking. Came off the ground. I just, what the fuck's going on? what is? The second goal. I'm like, I just, wow.
Well, we came out the ground, because there's normally 3 of us that go. We came out the ground. There were only 2 of us went on to the Portsmouth game, and we came out of the ground going, I can't believe the guy who's missed the game is going to have missed the best game of the season. He's going to be so disappointed that he's missed 4 goals, blah, blah, blah. So we're going there Tuesday, just being typical old school Blues. You missed the game the other day. It's probably going to be 1-0 or 0-0 tonight. And then, lo and behold, here we go again. So, there's no stopping us. And like I said, until the formula stops being effective, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it until it stops working. And then I've got enough confidence now that with the squad of players that we've got now, and we will end up with as the weeks and months go on, in terms of players returning and finding their place on the bench, the Williamsons of the world, who we've almost forgotten about because we haven't needed him. Somebody like him on the bench that can then come on if it's not working. We've now all of a sudden got the Kyogos, the Andersons, the Leonards, the Williamsons, Fujimoto, who barely even gets a place on the bench these days. We've got all these players that if it's not working anymore, we can start to integrate them and go, well, this is what we were doing, and this was working really well. We need you to step in and do this role.
Yeah, and before I get your prediction, just on the Williamson piece, he's the closest we've got to a Ducksch.
Yeah.
So, and you've made the point, and rightly so, where before we sort of fell into this team, when Davies had made changes, you always made the perfect point. It was still the same system, but just different, just players coming on to replace players doing exactly the same thing. So there was and it was a downgrade because you're bringing on subs.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if this is now the system, then albeit, yes, the subs are going to be slight downgrades because if they weren't, they'd be starting. But Williamson for Ducksch, Anderson for either of the wide men, Leonard for Doyle, they can still function in this system. They won't be as good. And that's just, again, mind-boggling. It just is. So anyway, go on. What do you think? I think you went 2-0. I went 3-1. So last time around. So we still get the wins.
We're
probably
still getting the wins.
Yeah,
I mean, even in the lowest of the low, I will always back Blues to win. I like to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I always back them to win. So yeah, look, I think for everything that we've said, I think momentum is with us rather than Middlesbrough. And yeah, the home and away situation is always going to make things more difficult. But we went away at Preston and ground out a win. So if we have to do the dirty stuff, we'll do the dirty stuff. If not, if we can just go there and play the way we've been playing. I said it against Millwall that they weren't going to be as easy to play against as Portsmouth. Arguably they were. I definitely don't think Middlesbrough will be as easy. But what do I know? So I'm going to say 2-0, and I'm going to finish it with a lovely pun because the Duck is going to score, and it's going to be a quacking afternoon.
I don't think that's going to make the edit, let's be honest. I think I'm going to stick with 3-1 because I've done 3-1 the last two games and won 4-0. So
getting close.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. Well, time for a cold shower. That's just mental, and it's been days since we won. So, mate, thanks a lot. I will catch you on the other side after Saturday.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Right. Well, that's it. What was it? I think I haven't been at this. I mean, obviously, I'm an old bastard, and 4-0 back to back has never happened in my lifetime. So let's make it 3, and I think that'll be a first ever in the 150th year. So let's do that. But anyway, between now and then, Blue Noses, enjoy the rest of the week and keep right on.